one more thing.
Oh, gosh, I hope people are listening. Maybe I'll cut this and move it forward in the episode because this is really important.
So this is a pre-warning for a very fun thing the OCR report is going to do in the month of September. We're going to do
super
30 days of podcasts. So
30
every day in September will be a new, fresh episode coming from your friends at the OCR report, including Will Hicks, Jason Dupree, Mike Stefano, Carlo Piscatello, Francesca Curando. A lot of Italian names going on in there. Caitlin Ritter, Evan Paparis, Jess O'Connell, Faye Stenning, and other people.
We've got quite the
Jack
squad.
Goris. Oh, that guy.
He's not. No, we're not doing. Jack's not going to do podcasts, is he?
I don't know. He exists though, so.
Yay, Jack!
Yay.
Hey. Anyway, yes. So every single day in September, a new podcast on the OCR Report podcast network.
Mm-hmm.
Could be us. Could be Upscoring Adventures. Could be OCR Talk. Could be Strength and Speed. Could be one of the any of those.
Any of those. Any of the many and varied OCR Report catalog of.
So stay tuned. I'm totally gonna cut this and put it further up in the episode because this needs to be. I don't want people to get this far and like shut off without seeing this part.
No, yeah, you should.
Okay. Hey, now I can't say what I was gonna say because we're recording. Recording in progress.
Recording in progress. Tell me,
Fran.
I love to just surprise Carlo with pressing record when he's in the middle of saying something.
I was on the verge of some. Yeah, I was like,
was it juicy?
That's not for public consumption. For reals. It was funny.
Can you just tell me and we'll just bleep it out?
No, because I'm not good at that. Because someone might read lips or something, and it's just like, it was anyway. I can't do that. I can't do it. I don't trust my own editing ability. Oh, but it's episode 13. That's good luck.
Unlucky
episode
13.
13 of the Fran and Carlo. I forgot my own name. Of the Fran and Carlo OCR. Fran and that other guy are doing a thing where they talk about the one thing and sometimes other things. That's the short version of our title. I have so much to talk about. I mean, surprise. But when it comes to Toughest Mudder Chicago, because I don't know if you know this, I was there.
I'm just going to mute myself. Sit back.
No, you actually muted yourself. Don't do that. I need your interaction, bro.
Okay, I'm not really going to do that. Yeah, you were there. I know. I had to look at your face.
Oh, it was like, it was awesome. And it was hot and it was humid, which I do not like.
Chicago?
Yeah, dude. I do not like it because, and then you try to complain about it, or I try to complain about it, and I get people from like Florida. Or they're just like, actually, this is not. I'm like, hey,
listen,
it doesn't exist where I live.
Frame of reference is a thing, buddy.
Doesn't exist around here.
Do you not get humidity in? I don't know where you live.
In California?
Yeah.
In Northern California, in the Sonoma Valley, in the wine country.
Do you live
in the bougie part of town?
Are you?
We do not. I mean, when it rains, we're like, ooh, it's
do you know
raining.
how humid it is here? Last time I flew back from Orlando after spending a week in Georgia, I got out of the airport in Manchester and went and enjoyed how moist the air is.
You're saying Manchester, England has higher humidity than Florida?
It's so damp.
I don't ever want to go there then.
I had to, when I went to California, and this is gross, but it's true, I had to moisturize my nose internally because it was too dry for me. It hurt my throat.
Wow, that is dry.
I am used to being.
It is a dry heat. They say that about Arizona
soggy.
too. But moisturized internally.
Humidity is 82% currently.
What? I don't think ours would even register. We have like negative humidity.
And it's 17 degrees. It's cold.
Fran, before I get on a roll.
Let's stop talking about weather. Sorry,
Although
I
that is part of it.
completely
Do you
ruined
have
that.
any community news? Dude,
I'll listen to you, then we'll talk results and kind of combine like some news and results stuff,
all
and
right.
probably
All right.
everybody knows
My
what I'm
camera,
talking
my
about.
camera has a way of knowing or my nose is like, oh, we're on camera. Time to start itching. And I'm like,
Mm,
dang it, bro. Dang it. Dang
mm,
it.
mm.
This is good if we ever, whenever we get, oh, by the way, we are talking for those of you that are like, gave us feedback over the weekend that were like, hey, I like your show, but I don't really do the YouTube
I really
thing.
like Carlo.
We are working on getting it audio only on
Mhm.
podcast networks. Not there yet. Working on it.
So
Hopefully
you don't get
soon.
to see these faces.
That's which you're lost, folks. You're lost. At least for Fran's face. Mine, I got some sun too, by the way. You can tell.
I was really proud of my tan. I mean, seriously, I'm trying to find that is my tan line. Like
Never considered you tan
yeah, that's
or
my tan line.
tan, as you call it.
That is my tan line. And I was
Okay,
like,
that
oh,
is a tan line. Yes.
I'm so brown. And then I
Do I
see you
have
and I'm like, no, I'm not.
mine's anyway, so lots of things happened at Toughest Mudder Chicago.
Dis-moi.
Community wise, I'll start with number one, probably the biggest thing, which is funny because the gentleman involved would downplay it 100 times over. In fact, I have video of him downplaying it. But everyone's best friend from Canada, Joe Perry, the painted head man, that Toughest Chicago was his 200th event. And what's amazing is normally, well, that's amazing in
200th
its own
Tough Mudder event or 200th OCR event?
Tough Mudder event. And he's done plenty of marathons, and I'm sure he's done
As
some
they would
Spartans in
say in
there.
Canada, mon Dieu.
Yes, that's what they would say. Unless they saw a squirrel, then they would say,
Écureuil.
I haven't used that. I haven't used that little graphic in like weeks. It's so good. Set it up and you freaking anyway. So normally Joe's lovely wife MJ has some kind of an idea for his head. So for the 200th, and I loved this, they went, hey everybody, here's a whole pile of paints and brushes. Do whatever you want. And so
I
we
love
all got
that.
to stop by his pit, and I, not creepy at all, just did my name across the back of his neck because
We should do this to our members of the team at World's Toughest Mudder.
paint our own faces, have the team paint our own faces
Well, and heads.
and heads. Well, he's bald though, so that makes it a lot.
I was
So we could do
referring to
Jason's.
yes.
We have one. We have one. So anyway,
I'm not shaving
that
my
was
head.
that was fantastic.
I
The
love
weather,
that.
as I stated, super hot. Well, actually, you know what's funny? It wasn't saying it was that hot. It was like 90. Obstacle bypass bands played a
Yes.
huge part in this event, and I will get to that in a little bit because there was some. Did I talk over you? I do it
I
all
was
the
trying
time.
to not talk over you.
Oh, thanks. I wanted to shout out too. I don't know her name, but everyone will know who I'm talking about. There was a woman volunteering all night at Kiss of Mud. I have a video of her. I'll play it. And all I know is she was being called the woo, stay low lady. Because she was volunteering at Kiss of Mud, the barbed wire crawl in mud. And she was saying that over and over. And she had her little boombox and she was playing music and she was just in it. And it was like,
volunteers need
yeah,
to be reminded of how much of a difference they make on the course.
absolutely.
Because especially at an overnight event, which I've now done one of, it can get a little lonely. At Europe,
real.
there was a guy on, I don't know what it's called, but cargo net straight up and straight down. And he was playing music, and he had when I was there, he had Mulan, the Disney film.
Of course.
One of my favorite.
Make a man out of you.
He was playing that song, which is one of my favorites. And I was
Let's
like,
get down to
Fran
business. Yes.
to defeat the
The
Huns.
Huns.
And I was like, do you know what a difference that has made to my race? And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So shout
And
out
you know
to
what's
him,
great?
but also volunteers, all of yous do great stuff like that.
Seriously.
And just cheer us on, and we love you.
And that's what's so great is if you tell someone a story about a volunteer being awesome, 10 times out of 10, they can tell you a story about a volunteer being awesome at a race they were at. And I'll tell you what, the people who volunteered at this race and were overnight and early morning, like they were out there in it, because sometimes you're in your little chair and there ain't nobody coming around for 5 to 10 minutes and it was still warm, right? And it was still humid. And this is a very buggy course. And when you're out in the middle of nowhere in a field and there's one big generator and lights on and all the bugs are like, there it is. Like I took a ride in one of the little UTVs with some of the TMHQ when they were resupplying some of the volunteers, because it's a great way to get out there and get footage, since I didn't have Jack with me this time.
Oh God.
Normally Jack's running over people on the way out to the obstacles, getting told on air to slow down. But so they would bring like pizza, coffee, rain energy drink, and bug spray. And most people, it was like, can I get you anything? Coffee, pizza, coffee, bug spray, please. Like everybody wanted the bug spray. It was so
bug's
gross.
going to be a problem in Florida.
I would imagine, but I don't know.
Anybody
they weren't that big of a deal in.
Give us,
they weren't that big of a deal
in
in Pensacola or in Atmore.
They weren't.
Or in Atlanta, but it was very cold in Atlanta, so no one wanted to be outside. I didn't want to be in Atlanta
because no one invited me, but okay.
You didn't miss a whole lot, really. It's not my favorite, not my favorite town. I got to meet our biggest fan, Gary Andrews.
Hi,
I actually
Gary
have some really cool footage of Gary on one of the penalties, which I'll drop right now. Gary. It was I can't remember. This was either the penalty for like, I don't remember which obstacle it was, but it was very English because you had to play croquet.
Oh, croquet.
All right, mate, tell us who you are and what you're doing.
Gary Andrews.
Gary Andrews from the UK. What are you doing over here?
I thought I'd come for a little jolly.
Oh, and why are you playing croquet, Gary Andrews from the UK?
Because I slipped off.
Well swung?
Well swung. Yeah.
Well swung. All right.
Really
and this is the penalty.
This is the penalty. Very English game.
It's very English, you're right.
I feel at home.
Not a boy. It was like Alice in Wonderland.
I know what croquet
Do you
is.
play what?
I know what croquet is.
But you don't remember Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah.
The queen, the evil queen? Evil.
Yes.
Was she evil, or did she just have a rough upbringing?
I mean, she had a queen, so how rough can her upbringing be?
You play croquet.
Maybe she was just a bit angry. I don't know.
Rule 42, the queen always wins. You know what I'm talking about? The little king's like this little tiny micro guy.
Seen it.
But reason number 727 why we like Gary Andrews.
Did they send me daughters? Oh, they look so delicious.
I'm gonna find out right now.
And
live
I can
on
buy
air.
them. I'm actually in the country. I can buy them.
Oh.
Are they vegan?
Oh, there's baby bags. I thought they all got crushed. There's baby bags inside the big bag. Look. Oh, wait. This was you like 10 years ago. Keep pushing. You're doing great. Keep going. Ah, it's Evelyn. That's you having a baby. So, I don't know if it was that easy, but
It was not.
little baby snack packs.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. These are the Burton's Fish and Chips lashings of salt and vinegar flavored baked snacks.
They
You know how many calories are in these babies?
Bacon.
You know how
Oh,
many
let
calories
me guess. How many? 64 calories per pack.
I can't see. Good question. Oh, it's measuring an energy.
Kcals.
Do you guys not have to put actual calories?
Yeah, per pack. Sometimes they put per 100 grams.
Yep, per 100 gram. Energy, fat. It doesn't say just calories.
It does. Kcals.
Oh, what? Energy, fat, of which saturates carbohydrates.
It'll be like the third one down.
Hey, I'm reading to you what it says.
Oh my God, show it to me.
It says energy, fat, of which saturates carbohydrates.
Okay. You know where you see energy?
Yep.
Follow the line. What does the first one say?
2,057 kJs.
Okay. kilojoules. And what does the next one say? Kcals
490.
per 100
You got me.
grams.
400 grams of.
Per 100 grams. And how big is the bag?
Whoa. So salty.
So salty. How big is the bag?
100 grams? Oh, no.
Calories and 100 grams. That's a lot for a baked snack.
Each serving contains 25 grams. These are good. They're like
122 calories a bag. That's a lot. How good are they? They look really good.
They were good until you just ruined it.
I was just surprised because it sounds like a high amount of calories for a baked snack.
They're delicious.
Oh,
Thank
God,
you,
we
Gary
need
Andrews.
some of those.
I'll bring you some at Worlds.
124 calories in a bag. You're right. You're right.
I can. You're fact checking me right now?
Yeah.
Right.
Trust you. Jason messaged me and he was like, "Do you remember I told you about Tunnock's tea cakes and how good they are?"
Yes.
He had some when he came to the UK for Europe's.
I know. He sent me pictures.
And then he messaged and he was like, "Oh man, I was thinking about those tea cakes and I wanted you to post me some." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll bring some for Worlds. I'll post you some." But he really
did not
liked
say
them.
he wanted you to post you some. That's not how we talk.
Mail. I wanted you to
He
send me
said-
some in the mail.
If it was Jason, he said, "I reckon you put some on a horse and send them on over here with the Pony Express, yo." That's how Jason talks. He's got a little piece of like hay that he puts in his teeth, like little lady. He's from Texas. That's how they all
He's not
talk.
from Texas. He lives in Texas.
He lives in Texas. He's from Louisiana.
Yeah.
Right? It's like Southern Cajun Texas. Okay, go
He's
ahead.
never
Continue.
he's never called me little lady.
Of course he wouldn't. He respects you.
Is that rude?
Some people would find it kind of demeaning. Yeah.
Do you know I love what Americans do?
Oh, not everything, I hope, because we've done
No.
really dumb stuff. Okay, what
No,
do you
just
love?
just in terms of what people call people, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I use that sometimes. So when I'm in an overly like polite mood. Yes, ma'am. That's right.
I just find it so polite.
Okay.
Love it. Okay.
So
anyway.
Gary wanted you to post, or not Gary. Sorry, I got Gary Andrews in my brain. Jason Dupree didn't say post me a pack of English tea cakes or whatever they're called.
I'm gonna see what he actually said because I'm pretty sure he said post me. I was gonna ask you to post me some.
Good. Wow. If he did, then you're rubbing off on him. Faux show. Because I've never said that in ever, unless I said something like, "Should I post the show now?" Or I ran into a post and it was painful. Or
just
I
carry
like
on talking about toughness.
I like Post Malone. Or Shaq was dominating down in the post. That's a basketball thing.
Oh, I thought about messaging you to mail me some.
See, that seems very American.
Hmm.
Did an eagle fly out of that message? I have stories about each category of racing, meaning women, men, team, because there was some spectacular things happening in all three. So that kind of folds into race results. So before I just ramble on forever in this episode, do you have anything that you would like to add about anything? Because I'm kind of doing the heavy lifting right now. I got to be honest. That's a great point.
Are we still talking? Are we moving kind of on from community news onto race results?
Yes.
All right. Let's interrupt the scheduled programming. However, some results that we would like to talk about, unfortunately, we are unable to talk about. There was an event in Costa Rica this weekend, and try as we might, we cannot find results for it anywhere. Aside from some very contentious news, which we're not going to get into whatsoever, but the message I will give to people, the message I will give to people is be nice. Stop it.
Costs nothing.
Be nice.
It costs nothing. It's not that hard.
It's not that hard. Just be nice.
And that's coming from Fran, who's not always nice.
I'm horrible.
If anybody knows, it's Fran. Fran's like, be nice. Am I talking to myself or am I talking to the community? Am I talking to myself? Or am I talking to the community? Your internal dialogue is leaking. I like it.
Quite nice. No, I'm kind, not nice.
And I'll have you know, the only reason I joke about you being not nice is because you make jokes about it. I would never just like, the only other person who would make a joke about you being mean is Jack.
Oh, and
we're all mean to Jack.
We don't care about that. So yeah, there was a result, an event this weekend in Costa Rica. Can't really celebrate what happened because we can't give balanced results. We don't have results for every event that happened over the weekend, and we also know there was a lot of controversy, which we are just absolutely not getting into whatsoever, and it's not cool.
And controversy too. There was controversy as well.
There was controversy and controversy.
Controversy, yes. That is a cooler way of saying it, though.
Is it?
Yeah, you guys enunciate. That's not the right term, but you guys say things cooler in some things.
Pronunciate?
I like that you say herbs instead of herbs.
Herbs, yeah.
Because that word comes up later. Because there's an H in it.
So Spartan Verbier weekend. In first place was Gregory Basilico, love him. Second place, Thibaut Jean, love him. Third place, Manuel Defoe, also love him.
40-something-year-old father of 2 or 3.
And then for the women, Esther Hortobagiova, love her. Second place,
great.
Claudia Bongiovanni.
Schiffer?
Don't know her, but assuming
I know
she's
Claudia
pretty
Schiffer.
great. And in third place, Leslie Lejeune, which is a pretty darn cool name.
That is a really cool name. Sounds like a city in Switzerland.
Well, she's French, so.
Have you been to La Lune? Excuse me?
So there we go.
They have cheese there? I want someone named Gruyere.
Fromage.
I want someone to name Gruyere to win a race so I could go on a rant about how much I love Gruyere cheese.
Do you like Gruyere?
You know, I spent some time in Gruyere.
Oh my God, it was also the Kelowna Spartan trifecta this weekend as well, wasn't it?
There's also the one in, wasn't there a series race in Canada?
Kelowna is in Canada. You might think it's in Hawaii, but Kelowna is actually Canada.
Oh, that's what you were saying. Okay, I was yes. By the way, we have some really fast footage of that race.
In first place, Brendan Neely. Second place, Matthew McLean. And in third place, Jordan 2X Kahoko. That is one of the coolest names I've ever heard in my life.
I'm sorry, can you please say that again slowly? The name?
Jordan 2X Kahoko.
2X, like he's holding 2 separate axes?
2-Axe Kahoko.
That's their real. How did they get that in the?
What's his name?
Okay.
I'm guessing there's some kind of native going on.
Kind of like 2 Chainz, but this guy's 2X.
And for the women, in first place was Stephanie Graham. Second place, Susan Snitinsky. And third place, Nicole Bowman. Wow, I'm so sorry I butchered that. That was embarrassing. And then there was also a Berlin race. God, I'm well prepared today. I'm well prepared.
You're crushing. I didn't realize there were so many races. I had one race on my brain. Oh, race brain. I love those guys.
Fran, I'm carrying this. I'm carrying it. Do you want to do some work? Because I'm carrying it.
I don't think I sound like Jack Goris at all, but thanks for putting us in the same vocal range.
For the competitive wave at the Beast, in first place was Lucas Kemp. Second place, Christian Kraus. Third place, Mikael Kropta. And for the women...
Boy. I will not have slides for all these, just so you know.
Lena Weller, very good athlete. Manuela Hill and Anna Pavelkova.
There you go. Those are your race results from everywhere else in the world that wasn't toughest Chicago.
Apart from Costa Rica.
Let's start when it comes to toughest Mudder Chicago results with the women's division, because while there were many great efforts, no one had, well, I'm not going to say no one had the effort that Jenny Overstreet did, but no one put together a performance quite like Jenny Overstreet did.
Impressive.
Jenny Overstreet, she's done well at Worlds the past couple of years. She was the one who infamously, remember in Atmore, like took off and she was in contention for the podium.
Yes.
And then realized she forgot her bib and had to come all the way back. And then, that's how I first remember Jenny Overstreet. What she did do, though, is absolutely throw down. And she went, as we say in the States, wire to wire. So she won the sprint lap, right? Which is like in itself
good data.
And she was flying, by the way. I don't remember her exact time, but she was like 50 something minutes. Like she was moving. And then she proceeded to stay in first place the entire night, never relinquished the lead, and took first place for the women with 50 miles.
Wow.
So 10 laps, just churning, and was always moving. Like, you're out there, we're like taking footage and we're watching people, and people are kind of like walking by and people are hiking by, and all of a sudden you're like, who the heck is that?
Meow.
You see a headlight in the distance that's like bounce, 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 bounce. Like, that person's moving. Oh, it's Jenny. It's Jenny.
Well, So,
Go
I
ahead.
mean, we don't know what the competition is going to be looking like this year. I mean, as far as I'm aware,
don't.
we don't think Chris is going to be there. I don't think.
No, in fact, no. It doesn't sound like she's going to be there.
Ulrika, who recently won the Ultra World Championships and has had success and is currently on fire.
Yes.
She wants to be there, but it's highly unlikely with the travel and everything. But she wants to be there, and she's a good contender. But I mean, Jenny moving at that speed.
Yeah, it bodes well for her. And she'll be there for sure, because I sent her some footage I had of her crossing the finish line.
Nice.
And she was like, "See you at Worlds," and I was like, "Heck yeah,
Yeah,
girl,
baby.
see you at your Worlds." So
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to forget about the other performance in the women's group. Sarah Tucker, who was also very strong, she was in second place with 45 miles, and third place was Kelly Winter with 40 miles. I wanted to shout out someone who you like, and is I haven't really talked to her this much, but Melissa Linden was there. And aside from just being absolutely jacked, by the way, I don't know if you've, holy cow, like, I don't know if they, but she came flying across the finish line in fourth place. And I'm like, at first I was like, does she know that she like isn't on the podium? Because she like I was afraid she might be like, oh yeah, like poor just like poor Fiore, like I'm at third
Fiore.
place, and it's like, no, you're not. But what she did do was she ran down Renee Thomas Jacobs on the final lap, who had like a decent little lead. She ran her down and passed her, and ended up taking fourth place by 12 seconds.
That's amazing.
Because she was like, I beat her. I think I got fourth place.
I was so
and I was
happy
like,
when
oh.
I saw her results. So she's adorable. I
She
like
really
her
is.
a lot. I'm a big fan.
Yep.
Big fan.
Yeah.
And she messaged me when I was doing Europe's and it wasn't going well. And then I spoke to her afterwards, and she's like, "Oh, when there's a toughest on, I always keep track of the results and who's running. And if there's somebody I know, then I watch what they're doing and I support it." And I was like, "My God, that is the cutest freaking thing I've ever heard." So then when I saw that she was there and that she had a goal of 40 miles, I was like, "Well, I'm gonna do the same thing." And then I saw she got it, and I was like, "Yes."
Yeah, dude, she watches, I don't know if she watches every episode, but she definitely watches the show. She was the first one to point out the week a few weeks ago when I just forgot to put Jack's video in. Like, she noticed and was like, "Where's Jack?"
I forgot.
And I was like, "You guys watch this?" I've actually technically forgotten Jack twice now. Well, last week I didn't really forget. I was having technical difficulties, and it was just easier to leave his part out. And turns out only Jack noticed.
Well,
Sorry,
I'm gonna be honest, I don't watch it, so I
Hey,
didn't.
no, you don't. That's why sometimes I just cut a whole bunch of your stuff out. I'm like, God dang, she talks for 12 minutes straight here? No, she does not. I'm just kidding. I mean, it's a pretty funny joke, though. Anyway, I have not done that yet, I promise. So, in the men's, Brock Holtzclaw, who we actually mentioned a few weeks ago.
Great
name,
name.
by the way. That's
Great
like a men's like action hero. You know what I mean? Like
Brock Holtzlaw.
Holtzclaw.
Holtzclaw.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like in the 80s and 90s, Sylvester Stallone would play like, a guy named Brock Holtzclaw, who's like a former cop, and something happened to one of his family members and no one's given it its proper due, and he's taking the law in his own hands.
She loves
And he
Stallone.
throws his badge on the table, like clink, and his gun clink, and he's like, "Guess I'll take care of this myself." And then I feel like that name, Brock Holtzclaw, that's what that name invokes to me.
I love
But
Stallone.
if you saw him, he's a super tall, skinny dude who looks nothing like Sylvester Stallone. But he's a great runner. And he actually had a pretty sizable lead for a large part of the race.
Good.
And Joseph Rucco, who was
Joe
chasing him.
Rucco, great name.
By the way, Joseph Rucco, who took second place in Toughest Philly this year,
Oh, nice.
He was, I don't know what the gap was at its largest, but it was at one point with a few laps to go, it was like 15 minutes. And this is where we talked about the
That's a lot.
obstacle
Bypass.
bypass bands. Brock seemed to be using each of his that he would get per lap. Like, 'cause you get one, after the third lap, you start getting one per lap. And a lot, oh my gosh, Mud Mile was so gnarly. Like, a lot of people were using their ban on Mud Mile. You couldn't get through it by yourself if it was a traditional Mud Mile. Thankfully, I think Tough Mudders learned, and off to the side, they'll put ropes in each one. So you can kind of like get up out of the side. I actually have a video of one of our friends going through it. Maybe I'll post that.
No, you literally couldn't have had worse timing. 9 p.m. and 23 seconds.
Well, you want them all.
No.
At least ropes are here.
Exactly.
Are you like live streaming right now?
No.
No. Okay, cool.
But you'll be on the Instagram feed.
But most people were using them for Mud Mile or Mudderhorn just for the time savings, right? Although surprising amount of people using it for EST, which was the very last electroshock therapy.
I mean, you were saying how much you hated it last week.
I do, but you could crawl through it. But it was very muddy. It was very liquidy mud. You could crawl through it and get filthy. But the problem was the penalty was 30 burpees.
Ugh.
And a lot of people were like, I ain't doing 30 burpees. I ain't getting shocked. So I'm going to, whatever. Or I'm just going to bypass it.
Wouldn't it be interesting if they removed the option to collect up your wristbands? I mean, it would be a terrible idea to do that because it would ruin the whole strategy game, but it would be interesting.
Right. So, and that's the thing. Joseph Rucco was stacking his bands. And on the last 2 or 3 laps, I was noticing like he was like 15 minutes behind. And then he was 7 minutes behind. And then he was 3 minutes behind. And I don't think that Brock really knew how fast Joseph was closing.
Well, probably not.
Brock did end up winning, credit to him, but Joseph closed the gap to 18 seconds. So like Brock came across and I was videoing him.
Seconds.
Yeah. I have a video of Brock crossing the finish line.
There we go. Look at that. Congrats, man. Great job. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm tired.
That last lap, dude.
That last one was fast.
He was closing on you.
Was he?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I shut off the camera a little too quick because it was like, hey, good job, fist bump, nice to see you. And then right as I shut it off, I turned to the finish line. Whoop! Here comes Joseph Rucco. So man.
I wonder if it'll start to become, so the fun thing with sports is like when things are so new like this is what are people going to do? What are the tactics they're going to use?
Different
but as
strategies.
stuff becomes more developed, people are just going to know what the best strategy is. So it's just going to end up being that the last lap is going to be like mainly a sprint lap. Are people going to just start collecting up their bands and doing that?
I don't know. That's what I would do.
That's what we're going to be talking about for hours come this November.
I suppose if you're somebody who maybe like Brock, who doesn't necessarily slow down that much, maybe it behooves you to just use your one on your slowest obstacle each lap. But if you're someone like, say, me, who slows down dramatically towards the end of the race,
Maybe you're not going to win.
Well, not with that attitude. Wow.
Sorry.
There's age group.
Oh, you should run age group this year.
I've seen some of the guys in my age group, and I got no shot. But
Same.
anyway,
I'm in my age group. Have you seen my age group? It's people like Melissa Linden. She's actually probably quite a bit younger than me, to be fair. But still, it's people very
it's a
similar
rough
to
one.
that.
And if I go up in age group, I'd be stuck with like Joe Perry, who's great. So Brock, Holtzclaw, first place, 60 miles. Second place,
60
60 miles. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Second place, also with 60 miles, 18 seconds behind, Joseph Rucco. Third place, 10 minutes behind, Daryl Good. And I wanted to just do honorable mention to John Herb, which I asked him his name. He was actually in the lead for a little while. John Herb. And the reason I bring him up is because he took first at Toughest Philly. So the podium had a lot of previous podium experience.
Names.
Yeah. which I did. I looked at the endurance schedule for next year, and unfortunately, there's only one toughest next year, and it's in Atlanta.
Mm.
There's toughest in
I'm guessing
Atlanta
our only toughest next year in the UK is going to be Worlds.
is Worlds. Yes. So there's toughest
I can't
Atlanta,
do.
there's Worlds, and then there's like 6 or 7 infinities. Ugh. The only reason I would go to Atlanta is if you were there. Because I have no, I mean, to cover the race would be great, but I would not just on my own free will be like, ooh, I'm going to go to Atlanta.
I mean,
I'm mostly saying this because I have one friend who used to live there and she loves it there. And it absolutely drives her bonkers that I crap talk Atlanta. Anyway, so if
No,
that wasn't enough.
it was nothing against Atlanta. It's just I just don't really.
Oh, mine was
wanna
totally
have to
everything against Atlanta.
fly for one event.
So the team competition. Holy crap. So, yes.
Could you make a request to TMHQ that on the results for teams, we can see the names so that when we're doing the coverage, we can actually
Dude,
honor the people correctly rather than just being like, Team Cool Guys are coming in first.
do you know what it's like when these poor fellas have like just finished their night and they're completely exhausted and they're
Yeah,
like
but
laying
they
on
should
the
call
ground writhing?
themselves Team Piscatello, Curando, Dupree.
And I have to run up to them and be like, hey, good job, guys. Everything's great. What's your social? Do you have a social? Do you have a social? And I'm like
And then
jotting
you
notes
prob-
in my phone.
Then you probably get it wrong anyway.
Which, by the way, I did do that for first and second. I would. You're right. I unfortunately did not get the name of the guys in third place, but that's not the point. The point is this race. So if you've been around Toughest at all the past few years, there's a team that always runs, and they're called,
Okay.
if you've done a Toughest in the past few years, you're familiar with a team called Four Locos.
Yes.
So the core of the team, now the team changes a little bit depending on where they are, depending on who's available, right? But Elliot Reeb is always on it. Christian Brown Johnson is always on
CBJ.
it. Yep. In years past, they had Jake Ramsby. They've had Kevin Chow. They've had Javier
That's
Escobar.
a cool name.
Which one?
Kevin Chow.
Kevin Chow. He's a
The
well-known.
one after I can't say, so I'm not going to.
Javier Escobar?
Because I say Javier. Remember this whole
Oh.
thing?
Javier. You know Javier, probably. I'm sure he's
Yeah.
introduced himself. He's a social kid, as they say. So anyway, I'm pretty sure Four Locos has won just about every team competition that they've entered. So I honestly was not paying great attention to the teams, probably the first half of the race.
Like, oh, the cat does.
Yeah, because I know what's going to happen. But then I would check in with Elliot Reeb quite a bit because he was, standing in his dry robe, which was driving me nuts, by the way, because I was like sweating balls. And Elliot's like in a dry robe because he's been out running and getting wet. And now he's, warming up. But he was like, hey, are you following? He's like, these guys are like we've been back and forth all night. So I started paying attention. And there was this second team called the Sunday Drivers and the Complaining Girlfriends. That was their name. And I knew you would make that face when I said that. I knew it. At the event, when I saw their team name, I thought, I'm going to have to say that out loud, and Fran's going to give me the smarmiest face. I know you well. This is great. Anyway, they are just great guys. Anyway, these two teams, all night.
Hate myself.
We're in first, you're in first. We're in first. And it started picking up, like people were noticing, like, are you noticing the team competition? Like those dudes are passing each other back and forth on course, on back and forth. So
Because often the team event is not really that exciting, is it?
I agree. Because usually one team ends up with a decent sized lead, right? So final-ish lap, right? I'm watching. And Four Locos is closing. Our friends, the Sunday Drivers and so the way the Toughest was working is there was none of that like extra hour after the start line closes. So
yeah, no, it just finishes.
You had to finish your last lap. You had to start your last lap by 7. Start line closed at 7. Finish line closed at 8. Solid.
Mm.
If you're at EST about to cross the line, 8 o'clock comes, lap doesn't count.
Which makes
right?
the mileage all the more impressive.
Exactly. 60 miles, man. So I see the Sunday Drivers and the come across at like 6:57, and 30 seconds. And they cross the finish line, and they're kind of like, they're doing like a kind of a, hey, like I think we won because it's the start line, the finish line's going to close, or the start line's going to close in like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So they go to the race center, and I kind of follow them, and they're kind of standing there, and they're like, "Ooh, okay, I think we're good, right? Are we good? I think we're good." And one guy on the team, to his credit, was like, he goes, "I got to be honest, guys, like, if we had to do another one, I probably couldn't do another one. Like I left it all out there. Like, no, it's fine. It's fine." As we're talking, here comes Four Locos, all four of them, like on a mission, sprinting, and they do not stop. They run to the race center. They all grab bands, and they're gone. And now we're like, oh my God, can they finish a lap? Can they finish a lap in an hour? Because at this point, no one's finishing laps under an hour. So then it was this like incredibly tense, like 58 minutes of like, what's good? And of course, I'm at the finish line because, you know, then the men's finishes are coming through, women's finishes coming through. At 11 hours, 58 minutes, and 59 seconds, literally a minute before the finish line closes, all four of those guys come slogging through EST and cross the finish line and collapse.
Yeah.
It was incredible. 70 miles.
That's amazing.
70 miles for
As a team.
CBJ, Elliot Reeb, John Driscoll, and I can't tell you the last guy's name because he doesn't have social media. And I messaged CBJ to ask him, and he never got back to me, by the way. Perhaps he's busy living his life, but whatever. Anyway, so fantastic. And I wanted to talk the names of the Sunday drivers in the component because they got 65 miles. And I basically want to tell you their names because one of these guys has quite possibly the coolest name I've ever heard in my life. So you got Andy
Call
Chabot.
them 2X.
Just give me a second. I'll let you decide. Andy Chabot, Ryan Beckham, Ben Lukamides, pretty cool name, and then Colin von Grimmenstein, which is a town or a city in I looked it up.
That's such an extravagant surname with the most ordinary first name.
Colin von Grimmenstein. Yeah. When they announced it on the podium, I thought they just made that up. That guy just wrote down any old name on his application. So yeah, Colin van Grimmenstein, which there's also the town of Grimmenstein, wherever it is. There's a castle there too under the same name.
Is he Lord of the Castle?
Most likely, yes.
Fantastic.
Oh, and I don't want to forget, third place team, Finkel is Einhorn, which £5 if you can tell me what that's from. Your boyfriend knows.
Dustin?
No, you have to do it yourself.
What is Finkel is Einhorn from?
Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn.
What?
Einhorn's a man.
Sorry, Carlo keeps talking. Say something again.
It's from Ace Ventura.
It's from Ace Ventura.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
So Finkel is Einhorn, got 65 miles and third place.
Well done them. That just reminded me of something that happened at a Spartan race that I feel we ought to quickly comment on. But it happened the week that we didn't do an episode because I was too busy being on holiday. So the Sunday, it happened that Sunday, there was a Spartan race. It was the last of the British OCR. It was a series. It was the last series race. And in the women's race, now, if you remember when I told you about the previous Spartan race in the UK, where in the women's race, it had been a really, really close finish between Andrea Burquez and Federica De Caria, like literally seconds. It got even closer on this race. So Andrea won this one, and then there was a fierce battle for second place.
Yeah.
And the two women, Rachel Decker, and again Federica De Caria, Not even a photo finish. They were milliseconds. They were joint second. No contention.
Did it come down to timing chip? Like
timing was exactly the same. So they got joint second.
so they share it?
Yeah.
No.
There was
See,
no.
now-
I don't know if I have ever known of an actual genuine joint second or joint place winning.
And not that this is relative, but if you ever were going to share a podium spot with somebody, that would be a good reason because you
would
had
want
the
it to
exact same
be
times.
accurate and down to actual timing rather than somebody making a decision because they felt like it.
But no one would do that.
No one in this honorable sport would behave in such a way.
That's led by people who know everything about the sport and have its true best interest in heart.
Exactly. I'm very pleased to say that that is not the way this sport operates. So when
No
joint places
way.
exist like that, I know.
Yeah.
Quite amazing.
That was the extent of my. Oh, I did want to mention. I want to find the gentleman's name really quick. He messaged me this morning. It was lovely. I talked to him for a few minutes at the event. His name is Derek Paquette, and Derek was talking about how much he misses. Oh, this ties into something we want to talk about. Derek Paquette, excuse me, was talking about Will Hicks and his podcast and how much he misses Will doing episodes and us being on episodes with Will. And it was just he had a lot of great positive things to say.
I just want to take 1 second to talk about how Will has possibly the best voice in OCR.
He has an incredible. He has a. I don't want to say he has a face for radio because that's insulting. That's
sorry, Dustin.
But he what? Oh,
sorry, Dustin.
He's got a great voice too, though.
Yeah.
The first time he ever came on, he was on Obstacle Running Adventures.
The first time he ever what?
The first time I ever heard Dustin's voice, honestly, because I was not a big Spartan guy. He was on Obstacle Running Adventures podcast, and I was like, this guy's voice is not real. This is an AI, like if you told AI like FM radio voice, but like with some pizzazz, you'd get his voice. Anyway,
can you imagine what it sounds like in our house all day, every day?
Like someone's broadcasting to you.
Incorrect. We just make stupid noises constantly.
That's kind of cool.
No.
That's why it works. So
Sorry.
I told Derek, and I want to put this out there because Will, as we know, Will is the ultimate professional, right? Will takes the high road. Will he's not a big fan of us like swearing on the show or his podcast or whatever. He likes everything.
Trustworthy.
He is. So, however, Will had an episode that he did, and I don't know if it's OCR Report or World's Toughest Podcast. I don't remember, but it is episode 121. He went completely
rogue,
off script one time and interviewed a guy, and it's called "Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's."
I've heard about this episode.
So there was. I did not know this, and I went to McDonald's a lot as a kid. McDonald's used to serve pizza, and there is one man in the United States who's made it his mission to try to bring it back and also just tell the story. Tell the story. And he is an interesting cat. And it is a fun, fascinating podcast because the man is very monotone and he speaks the same cadence the whole time. And you can tell Will is just like doing his best. But it is
Will's
so
loving it.
So off the beaten path. It's probably one of his more popular podcasts. Do you know what the most popular podcast Will's ever done is?
What?
So I don't know if you know this, but it was 2016 or 2017, and it's our buddy Evan Paris. Yep, and the great Ryan Woods, who is now since kind of retired from OCR. But Ryan, at the end of Worlds, tested, or no, so he didn't test positive after Worlds, but he tested positive through some Spartan testing, like from a few weeks before or something. And as a result,
in OCRWC,
it might have been.
We
or it might have been
do drug testing, so
okay,
I should remember
it might have
this,
been.
and it's probably 2016.
But his team.
What are you saying?
the team
2016.
they were in team competition.
Yes, yes,
What was
yes.
it?
They're in team competition. Yep.
Yes. So, but what the
Yep, we did
episode
drug
is,
testing.
and again, who knows? I don't know the whole backstory. But what's amazing is Will has face to face, well, via microphone, Evan and Ryan Woods, and Will is like moderating, and these two guys are just, you know, you got the little angel and the devil, if
But
you
Ryan
will.
didn't actually do anything wrong. He accidentally took something and he didn't know what it was. And that is his responsibility to know, but he wasn't doing anything malicious.
Correct. But it didn't make some people not angry. So they
Only
got to
makes
have
these people
they got
angry.
to have a 1v1. Let's
Evan
air it out.
is a sweetie, isn't he?
Yes. Although it's an interest. If you haven't heard it, it's Will's most downloaded, listened to podcast he's ever done. Is those two guys head to head talking about that incident. I have no sponsor who wish we had this week because I was so excited that I got these crisps. Do you have a thought on things? Because I don't.
Why do I have reoccurring nightmares that I keep dying?
I would ask a therapist about that. Oh, that's you.
You don't have thoughts on things, but that's my favorite part of the episode.
Isn't it though? Okay, how about this? If you've done enough OCRs in your life, if you were Madam Race Director and you said this obstacle is going to go away forever and you'll never ever see it again.
Cargo crawl.
Cargo crawl.
Cargonet crawl.
I love how definitive you are with your answers. Chocolate mousse, cargo crawl. The girl knows what she wants. The woman, excuse me,
That's
knows
fine
what
being
she
called a
wants.
girl. Indicates I might be young. How about
The
yourself?
lady. Operation. You
What?
know what operation? You know what I'm talking about?
Of course I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. No. I would have been so screwed at Worlds last year because the penalty for operation was that long, like half mile, where you had to run across that field through the little creek and then back. Oh, was that
Why
abseil?
can't you do operation? What's wrong with you?
I don't like getting shocked.
Yeah, I don't like water, but I didn't choose a water obstacle.
No. And it's just, and I don't have the steady handedness that you need to make that.
Show me your hands.
You know, you put the pole through the wall
Show me
and
your
you
hands.
I got it, ow, and you gotta, yeah, or the guy next to you gets hit and you're in the water with him and he drops his little pole and it hits the thing and then it hits you and you're like, ah, like
Do that
I
face
saw
again.
a dear friend, I caught it on film and I got rid of it.
Do that face again.
I had a dear, no, I'm not okay. Fran, I'm working through it right now. That's why I want this obstacle gone. I saw a dear friend have an absolute meltdown.
What would happen if you had a pacemaker?
Here's the thing. Well, you shouldn't do it. Because of my little AFib episode that I had a year ago last June, I think I've got a medical obligation to bypass it, which isn't, I shouldn't be proud because like I said, they make the penalties worse and worse for skipping that.
So you just wouldn't
like if
attempt
this was
it. You just have to do the penalty.
correct. And I just I've never liked it. I was a part of Obstacle Innovation Lab when they first brought that out. And
You're
I
like,
was
"No."
like, no. And all the freaking masochists were like, oh, it's actually kind of fun, kind of challenging, nothing
fine.
hard. Which, by the way, is our last segment of the show. So we have gone on for a little while, but you know what? It's
What?
not like we were on talking about nonsense. We actually had content.
We had
a
really good
lot
content.
of content. And I feel like I'm missing some stuff, but that's what was in my notes. So yes. So thank you to everyone who made Toughest Mudder Chicago such a wonderful time. I stayed in
Thank
a
you
great
for
little.
looking after Carlo for the weekend.
It was fantastic.
I'm gonna
I'm
send you like
excited.
5. Oh my god, it's like
Mr. Miyagi. Now show me paint the fence, Fran. So, did you watch?
really.
By the way, and credit to Dustin for getting the reference. I knew most people know that reference if they grew up in the States and
You can just test
like
him
Jim
on
Carrey.
a new one every week, and he'll probably know them all.
He probably would.
Hmm.
Episode 13 is in the can, as they say in Hollywood. Fran,
Carlo,
in the can, Fran. Hey, Fran,
this was fun.
let's do it again next week. Bye.